Hi everyone, welcome to this video entitled How Not to Be Overwhelmed in an Ocean of Data via Smart Scanning. This talk was given in the framework of the 7th IPRIA conference, International Conference on Pattern Recognition and Image Analysis in February 2025. I'm David Rousseau, professor in data science, heading the Imorphen bioimaging research group. We do computer vision for population phenotyping in life science, including plants, biology, biomedical. 30 staff are permanent and located in the northwest part of France. Let me start with a broad introduction on the environmental costs of the digital world. The digital revolution has transformed the way we work, communicate, and consume information. However, the rapid expansion of digital technologies has significant environmental consequences. For instance, to use this device, it requires 800 kilograms of mud to be extracted to produce all the metallic elements that are needed to build semiconductor devices included in this system. The digital sector itself is responsible for 2 to 4% of global CO2 emissions, which is comparable to the aviation industry. The cloud storage and AI processing require large-scale data centers, and the cooling system operating 24 hours, 7 days, operation requires constant energy supply. And more, this data center consume 1% of the global electricity, but this is rising and in an exponential way. We have to consider this consumption of energy with what is often called as info obesity, acquisition of everything, everywhere, all at once in the numerical world, which turns out to be a nightmare, and in the end significantly contributes to the global warming and its consequences on our climate. Should I be concerned as a scientist? Maybe I should only focus on knowledge and try to understand the universe, but scientists live in the real world, and scientists are citizens. They live with other citizens and they work also for the other citizens somehow. And so in this talk we will consider approaches of situations of infobesity in microscopy, which is a phenomenon that arises through times. I would say that up to 2004, the microscope were pretty similar to the microscope invented in 1590, but it progressively incorporates innovation like the lasers, like the electronic devices to acquire numerical data, also the capability to micro-position the optics and therefore perform computational imaging. And somehow this bunch of innovation met also the capability of high throughput image processing, boosted by the rise of deep learning in 2012. And nowadays you have plug-and-play microscope systems providing data in 3D with multi-die, time-lapse, super result, and some of these systems can provide or produce several terabytes per hour. So this is indeed a notion of data and can also constitute huge acquisition times. So in this talk, we are going to address or open the way of smart scanning with an approach which will be multiple time acquisition protocol to reduce the overall weight of data produced. And we focus on the data of real interest directly during the acquisition process. And this will be illustrated in the field of Raman microscopy and Brillouin microscopy. So let's start with Raman microscopy. It can be defined as an inelastic Raman effect is an inelastic scattering process where incident light interacts with molecular vibration, leading to a shift in energy. The principle is that a small fraction of light undergoes a frequency shift due to energy exchange with molecular vibrations. It has key advantages. It provides a molecular fingerprint of substance without sample destruction, and it's used in material characterization, chemistry, biology, nanotechnology. We are considering Raman microscopy here in this talk on bones. It's a non-destructive analysis. We have access to chemical composition, which gives information on disease diagnosis, especially related to aging or the association of natural material and biomaterial at a high spatial resolution. This is our collaborator, Guillaume Mabillot, working at the hospital in our place in Angers. He cares about bone pathology. We have a focus here on the cortical trabecular bone here, and so some biopsy are extracted to assess the health of the tissue here. And when we position this kind of sample in a commercial Raman microscope, we have access, if we make an acquisition on a some single pixel, to the Raman shift, which give an information of the chemical composition of the bones at each sample point. To produce an image, the commercial system is making what is called a raster scan, so each point is acquired separately. And this provides typically 100 by 100 pixel by 940 wave numbers corresponding to this Raman shift. So Raman scattering is known to be a rather rare phenomenon with only a proportion of 10 to the power of -7 of the photons which are being scattered. And so this produces a very long acquisition time. All in all, this image, 100 by 100 pixel with this amount of wave numbers, takes 42 hours of acquisition time, which is huge. So our purpose is how can we speed up this process? So the international community who cares about this problem is trying to improve the physical signal via CARS, CCRS, or by freezing the samples, or also by parallelizing the acquisition with some optical tricks. And of course, some people in the image processing domain are using machine learning. How to use machine learning for this problem? You can just acquire low SNR images and try to predict the high SNR image via acquisition of pairs of data, and by training on these training data a machine in a supervised way. And then when some new data comes, predict the high SNR from the low SNR. But as Yann Lequin would say, machine learning sucks. It requires a large amount of labeled data and operate in a way which seems to be very far from the way humans or animals are investigating in the world. Indeed, animals and humans can learn new tasks very quickly, understand how the world works, and can reason a plan because they are driven by objectives. And so, in our case, we can see that this machine learning encourages infobesity, gathering a huge amount of data with possible risk of bias and overfit, and especially when applied to a new field like the one we consider with few existing datasets. And there were no Raman dataset on bones or large dataset available before we worked on this topic. So another approach that we promote here is smart scanning. So we propose the following protocol. It's a two-pass approach described here on this scheme, where we first have a fast scan at low SNR. We make a spectral dimension reduction. Typically, it could be an averaging of all the wavelength in order to increase the contrast. We use this single monocomponent image to do segmentation in superpixels. And then from the low SNR image, we are going to reconstruct some output image at high SNR, one single measure for each superpixel. This work was done in the framework of the Valentin Gillet during his PhD. And here is a focus on the innovative part. How do we combine these two sets of data? So the low SNR hyperspectral cube is actually going to be a rescan at some points, on some specific points that we call essential pixels. So when we plot each pixel of this low SNR cube, we plot them in what is called the phasor plan. It's a Fourier domain, and it appears that all these pixels are encompassed in a convex hull, and the pixel on these convex hulls, from the information captured by the pixel located on this convex hull, it's possible to compute actually the spectrum from all the other pixels. So pixels corresponding to essential spectra are the ones located on this convex hull. And what we do is that we acquire these red pixels at a longer acquisition time, but only these pixels are acquired at this longer acquisition time. And what we do is that we reconstruct in the end the value of the spectrum at high SNR on only one pixel per superpixel. So we have a compression both in the spectral domain and in the spatial domain. The math behind the phasor are given here. Actually, we do not a spatial Fourier transform, but the spectral Fourier transform of the spectra. And we compute, for instance, here the first coefficient and position 1 point on the real part and imaginary part. So the real part on the x-axis and the imaginary part on the y-axis. So this is one phasor. Experimentation were run on real and simulated data, so including bones samples. And we benchmark different approach. Our method, which is called the unmixed superpixel centroid rescan, where we rescan only the centroid of the image which correspond to the essential spectra. We have a reference which is the high-SNR raster scan, and we have the superpixel centroid rescan at high-SNR, where we rescan all the centroid of the image. And the baseline, which is the low-SNR raster scan, the very fast but low quality raster scan. So trivially, our method is much better than the baseline, of course, the low quality fast scan, and a bit less efficient than the reference, the very slow high SNR scan, which is in black here. But interestingly, we can see that at this 0 dB SNR, we have performance with our proposed method, where we rescan only the centroid of the superpixel located on the convex hull of the phasor plan, which give interesting result, as much as good as if we had rescan all the centroid of the superpixel at high SNR. In terms of scanning time, Interestingly, here we are close to the baseline, so the fast scan, because we only rescan some superpixel of some centroid of superpixel of interest, and the gain of time here is huge by comparison with the reference here, and even, of course, by the rescan of all the centroid of the superpixel. So some qualitative results on real and simulated data, where we have the low SNR, the baseline, our method, and the reference, and we see that spatially we have a similar result, but also on the spectrum, it seems that our acquisition are providing data or spectrum which are pretty close to what we would have with a baseline or a reference. As a reminder, in terms of quantitative results, the reference is super large, 42 hours, 2,520 minutes. And in our case, we demonstrate that we have a compression ratio by a factor of 220. So 42 hours are down to 12 minutes for both. So what question can we raise out of this? First question is, can we further accelerate this process? So a way to identify this is to locate the bottleneck, and the bottleneck was the first scan. So the limitation in the two-pass scan is the low SNR raster scan. And can we avoid this low SNR scan? So yes, we have just developed a dual imaging three-pass smart scan, where we use the faster scan instead of the low SNR first scan with an image correlated with Raman. So this is described here. We have this same modality, and instead of having a fast scan here at the Raman, what we do is we do a fast acquisition on the SEM microscope, so electron microscope. We make a segmentation, so a superpixelization of this image, and then we provide the position of the centroid of the superpixel. So only these are scanned at low SNR. We identify the position of the points on the convex hull, and we rescan at high SNR only the position of the superpixel position on this convex hull to reproduce in the end an estimated output with a high SNR estimated value on all superpixels. So the gain in time here is to have a first scan here with another microscope, which is correlated with the Raman microscope. Illustration again on bones with the low SNR, high SNR, the electronic microscope. We see there is a spatial correlation here. And we have here a comparison of the two paths, the three paths, so the one we propose here, the low SNR and the reference. So again, the three paths provide a spectrum which are super close to the reference at an acquisition time which is expected to be better than the two paths and close actually to the low SNR fast scan, which is of a very bad quality here. So here is the detail of the acquisition time. The free pass scan clearly appear as the fastest acquisition scan in this case. An acceleration by a factor of 3 by comparison with the two-pass smart scan is obtained on real and simulated dataset. So further question would be, is it limited to Raman on bones? And also, what if sample moves or if it's difficult to register the several paths? So we have investigated the possibility to apply this method to BRI1 microscopy. which is a non-contact level-free optical technique that measures the mechanical properties at the microscopic scale. So it's based on BRI1 scattering, where light interacts with thermally induced acoustic waves in a material. It's non-destructive, so it allows in situ mechanical property analysis without altering the sample. It's high-resolution spatial sampling, which enables to localize measurement at the micro or nano scale, depending on the size of your probe. So we obtain qualitative and quantitative results which validate the fact that we have also an acceleration by comparison with a high SNR reference. The gain in time is smaller, but because BRI1 is actually faster than Raman in this case. This was the work done by Léo Bréchet in the framework of his PhD. So now what if sample moves? So if from one pass to another we do not reposition exactly at the location where we had our estimation on the first pass, then actually we see that the performance are degraded very fast. We are very sensitive to this. Indeed, optimizing does not bring robustness, and so this is a very sensitive process. So we are investigating on how to improve this. And last question is smart scanning limited to microscopy? Actually, not. You can envision, for instance, robots where we would have an image on the roof and where that would guide a view that would be a local probe, or you can imagine coupling data coming from a satellite with data coming from a drone. So anytime you have dual imaging which are somehow correlated, but we do not have the same price in terms of acquisition, in terms of speed and quality of data, then you can imagine smart scanning method like the one we developed and presented in this talk. So if you're interested in this field, maybe you wonder if you do not have a satellite, you do not have a robot this way or an expensive microscope, how can you do smart scanning? Actually, we developed an open source hardware and software that we coined the Endoscope. It's dedicated to pedagogy and research. We are hacking a 3D printer that we turn into a microscope. And so with this system, which is including a Raspberry Pi, piloting the 3D printer, we use a camera, an illuminator, we pilot all this with Jupyter notebooks that we made available on the Git. Then there is the possibility to do a smart scan, to have, for instance, to position the camera very far from the plate and to have a global view like the one we have here, detect the object or the scene of interest, and then have a close-up view and acquisition only on this object of interest. So with this kind of approach, by comparison with the raster scan, we reduce the acquisition time and also reduce the data weight, which was the original objective of this talk. So as a conclusion, we have introduced new smart scan protocol, which is interestingly data-driven, but without any need of machine learning. We do fast acquisition for slow hyperspectral imaging system. It was illustrated with microscopy, but possibly very versatile. We have given some interesting biomedical application of real-world interest and provided an open source and hardware pedagogical demonstrator. So with this, I thank you for your attention and open for comments, questions on this topic.